All right, everybody, we made it to Thursday. Yeah, one more day until the weekend, and might just want to skip past Friday, and in a couple of minutes we'll tell you why. But overall, we're seeing some sunshine, had a couple of snow showers and flurries earlier this morning, but for the most part, those are passing through. But in the wake of that front moving through, we're seeing some much colder air moving in, and that's what we're experiencing right now, and we'll really feel the impacts getting into your Friday morning. So keep that in mind, and we'll break it down for you coming up. We also have a couple of subtle changes as we get into the upcoming weekend, so we'll keep that in mind too. Overall, the trend has been and will be for a 10 weather impact alert for your Friday morning. 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. because of the bitter cold out there. The ingredients seem to be coming together, and we'll talk about that too. Be ready. You probably don't have that winter gear stocked away. You probably needed that. Have your coat, jacket, gloves, hat, scarves, the whole 9 yards over the past couple of days, and certainly today. You'll need it for tomorrow, certainly, especially in the morning. And that's why, again, we've got that 10 weather impact alert. One of the key components into that bitter cold forecast are clear skies. We see the cloud cover really edging southward, a couple of pockets of clouds moving in from the west. But as long as we stay clear, or mainly clear, and even allow for a couple of high clouds with that fresh snow cover and winds decreasing overnight, that really comes together and set the stage for a very, very cold morning tomorrow. We're looking okay. We've got the sunshine out there, a pretty looking sky, but it is pretty chilly out there as well. And of course, that fresh snowpack, the other part of the equation. Even though we've got mainly sunny skies today, we've got a north breeze, and that snowpack has a very high albedo, a very high reflectivity, meaning that while we may see sunny skies, we've got that north cold wind and the sunlight is being reflected off of the ground. You probably need the sunglasses today, and you will need them tomorrow too. That simply means that we're not warming up even with that sun. We're 28 right now, but kind of steady in the upper 20s for a good part of the day, but falling slowly and really going to accelerate that temperature drop after dark tonight. 28 feels like 19, that north breeze at about 10 miles an hour. That will gradually let up, but not until late tonight into tomorrow morning. Again, that's another one of those ingredients in that early morning chill. Now, keep in mind, we're looking at a broad brush forecast for the next 12 hours. I just want to draw your attention to that rapid temperature drop of about 10 degrees between this afternoon and then 9 o'clock tonight. We do slow that down just a bit, but eventually going down closer to 10 degrees. And this is for Columbus, really officially at the airport where our observations are taken. But if you spent any time in central Ohio, and I know that you have, you will know that the outlying areas don't always behave just like Franklin County and Columbus. In fact, look at this. Numbers across the area are be cooling off as we get toward Mount Vernon and Newark, 7 and 9. Marysville at 6 tomorrow morning. We're going to keep Columbus around 10, along with Lancaster and Circleville, and low teens across the areas east and south. Not to say that Columbus couldn't be 12, it couldn't be 8, but just know it's going to be a very, very frigid morning tomorrow. You would also not be surprised to see some of the reports from the outlying areas and in some more rural areas. They got that fresh snow cover. Some folks had almost 6 inches of snow. That's going to really take a while to melt. It hasn't happened this week. Those areas have a chance of being closer to 0 than they do at 10 degrees. But as I mentioned earlier, one of the ingredients is very little wind. And that will be the case, fortunately for us tomorrow morning. While we're going to start off chilly between 10 and 15 degrees across much of the larger towns and cities, we're going to gain a little ground, a little sunshine, should be just a little bit warmer, and winds will be lighter tomorrow. And that will be about as much of the silver lining as we're able to give you. Now, we're looking at a pretty decent finish to the day tomorrow and a decent finish to the week. Once we get into the weekend, we've got a couple more changes, but high temperatures tomorrow, again, between about 25 and 30 degrees. That's over 10 to 15 degrees below where we should be this time of the year. And like it or not, for better or for worse, we're going to keep that cold air in place, not just for tomorrow, but as you'll see shortly, for much of the next week ahead. Now let's go hour by hour into your Saturday. It starts off in the morning that has dry conditions. We are looking at another weak front coming through. Weak in the sense that it's not going to be a big blast of cold air behind it, and also there's going to be very minimal chances of some snow. Most likely some snow showers in the southeastern corner of the 10 TV viewing area. That's after lunch tomorrow. So we're looking around Logan, around New Lexington, Perry County, down toward down 23 toward Ross and Pike County, and east toward McConnellsville and Athens. That's 1 o'clock. That area slides on through, and we look about 9 o'clock in the evening. We clear that back out again, and that will set the stage for another cool night into Sunday morning. And as I said, we're looking at that cold weather continuing. This is kind of a broad brush look, averaging together the next 6 to 10 days. A lot of blue out there, and that means cold, continued below normal temperatures that go through the middle of next week and through next weekend. So if you're looking for a break, now we're not going to stay in the 20s for the next 7 days. We're also not going to see a return anytime soon, at least for the next week and a half, to temperatures at or above normal. 10 weather impact 7-day forecast for you. Has conditions tomorrow morning with a 10 weather impact alert. Saturday, we're going to dry it out for you. Sunday, 30% chance of some snow showers. Monday, we're dry and cold. We're going to see the chance of Tuesday, Wednesday, snow showers and possibly some rain showers mixing in. And then on Thursday, a leftover flurry. But even the top temperature next week, we may be lucky to get to 40 degrees, but even that is below normal. So the trend will be, as it has been, for cold weather to continue to move on through. So keep that in mind as you're making your plans and looking out and about. Now, the other thing we're looking at across central Ohio with all the cold weather on the way, it comes to keeping your home warm. There's more than meets the eye. Here's our Kiara Lake with some ways you can stay warm and avoid paying for the repairs later.
You just heard it from Michael. We're expected to drop into the single digits. When it comes to warming your home, we're told that simple maintenance checks right now can help you from preventing a call to the repairman this winter. It's recommended you replace your furnace filter regularly and keep indoor temperatures consistent, no more than a 2-degree difference between day and night. The HVAC specialist we spoke to says this will help prevent added strain on your heating units. To prevent your pipes from freezing, he says clear away any snow or ice around exterior lines and shut off water to outdoor faucets. And when it comes to the snow on your sidewalks, we spoke to one man who says it's all about being a good neighbor.
I live right at a school bus stop, so there's kids out in front of my house every morning waiting for the bus, and I know the last thing I would have wanted to do was stand in 6 inches of snow.
And it's recommended when it comes to your sidewalks and those driveways to de-ice those now before the snow comes in. Reporting from the Victorian Village, Kiara Lake, 10 TV News.
Now, when it comes to outside your home, de-ice your sidewalks and driveways now, even though it's recommended to try and do this before the snow comes. Reporting from Victorian Village, that was Kiara Lake. Now, we're also working to keep your family healthy and warm in those cold conditions. Turns out that dressing for the weather starts at the top, along with a hat and good base layers. So we're talking about tights, stocking, long underwear or long johns, fleece-lined clothing, and then outfit with your regular clothes. And keep in mind that those layers are a very good way to keep yourself cool. Internal medicine Dr. Joanne Votto from Ohio Health suggests that choose those layers based on the technical fabrics to help reduce sweat. You don't want to be sweating and have that add to your chill.
Are dry wicking, so it is why you can wear anything as a base layer. If you can get something that's dry wicking, that is actually important in the winter time, because things like getting wet from sweat or cool or from water can actually decrease your body temperature even further in colder temperatures.
Yep, some good advice there. And the conditions can be dangerous even when you're dressed properly. Hypothermia is a real risk. It can slow down your thinking, slow down your body movements, and cause abnormal heart rhythms, which can lead to death. Shivering can often be a first sign of hypothermia.
Especially if you're having excessive shivering, then followed by the lack of shivering. If you see somebody who's been outside, their skin is very red and feels cool to the touch, they're acting confused, they're having slurred speech, maybe their breathing is shallow, they're fumbling, their body movements are uncoordinated, that could be a sign that a person is experiencing hypothermia.
Yeah, thank you. And if you or someone near you can't regulate your own body temperature and have any of those symptoms, seek shelter and call 911 immediately. Now, it's not just your health that you should watch during the cold blast. Remember, the cold we're experiencing this week could affect your tire pressure in your cars and trucks too. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says remember to inflate your tires to the amount listed inside the driver's side door. The agency said it's best to check your tire pressure even when they're cold, because that means you haven't driven on the pavement and they haven't warmed up for at least 2 or 3 hours. And don't forget to make sure your spare is good to go, just in case. Now, if you have a little one, they need to be bundled up outside as well. But it's also important to know those heavy coats can get in the way of the seatbelt and car seat. This graphic from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration shows you want to get rid of that coat and the fluffy material and dress your child in lightweight layers just as you would do yourself, so that harness and safety gear stays snug. And remember, it's always better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. AAA says you'll want to pack an emergency kit in your car full of things like a blanket, a charger, jumper cables, a flashlight, and water. And remember, 10 TV is helping you stay warm and prepared for the cold on air and here on 10 TV Plus and online. Be sure to get our free 10 TV News app, and we'll send important updates to your forecast right to your phone. So we've been talking about the cold weather prep and the reasons you want to stay inside with the coming cold, but there's still some reasons to get outdoors in the next 24 hours as well. Tonight at 6 p.m. you can watch the tree lighting over in Dublin's Bridge Park neighborhood. There's expected to be a special visitor, ho ho ho, from the North Pole. That's a clue. Admission is free, but you're encouraged to bring a wrapped gift that will be donated for some less fortunate children this year. You'll also want to keep your eyes on the night sky tonight for one of the year's last astronomical spectacles. Supermoon will be shining bright. According to Earth Sky, it will be at its fullest around 6:14 p.m. That supermoon happens when the moon is at its nearest point to the Earth, which makes it appear larger and fuller, especially when it's low in the sky. December's supermoon is also called, appropriately enough, the cold moon, which indicates that the full moon event closest to the winter solstice. Now, switching gears back to the Arctic blast impacting the nation this afternoon, cold air has been intense enough to parts of Lake Superior that are already being frozen. This new video this afternoon shows portions of that Great Lake were left frozen as frigid temperatures swept across the area this week. Video captured in Ashland, Wisconsin, showing the water sitting frozen and cracking of ice can be heard. Scary. Ashland is located in northern Wisconsin. And while that might be a pretty view, we all know that water underneath the ice is cold and dangerous for anyone who might encounter it. That's why we're thankful this afternoon that 2 engineers are safe following a train derailment in Colorado that ended up in some of that frigid water. These are the pictures showing when emergency crews first got on the scene. They said the train was submerged in about 2 feet of water. The crews say that the 2 engineers were not at risk of drowning, but were worried about the risk of that cold water and hypothermia. Officials say the derailment most likely happened because of a rock slide. Both of the engineers were taken to the hospital and later released. Good news there. All this cold weather could lead to some ice formation on local lakes and ponds, but do not be fooled by what you see happening. As Jason Rentalo shows us, despite the bitter blast, the ice might not be safe.
Right there, that little kind of bubble type area, that's right where we fell through.
14-year-old Gabe Savage and his 13-year-old brother wanted to hit the ice early in Becker County late last month.
It started cracking and we just caved in.
It took nearly half an hour, but the teens were rescued from Straight Lake, which had just an inch of ice. Even after a week of freezing temps.
So you can see right there how easy I broke through.
The ice at Lake Riley in Eden Prairie,
Maybe an inch or 2.
is still far from safe.
It's going to be a little time before we get the whole lake frozen over.
Conservation Officer Mike Lurchin with the Minnesota DNR says ice needs to be at least 4 inches thick to walk on, at least 9 inches for a car, and even more for an SUV. While we have had cold weather, Lurchin says the snow we've received has slowed ice formation.
Snow acts like an insulator, so it just delays or slows that ice making ability.
He says ice likely won't be ready to walk on until about mid-December. Even after that, he says it's important to check thickness. He recommends doing that with a spud bar.
It's just a weighted bar. It's got like a little spade on the bottom of it.
On Tuesday, a canoe paddle worked just fine. Lurchin says it's just too early to be out here.
Yeah, we're real close. We're getting there, another week or 2, and guys will be fishing out here.
While it's a tough lesson for Savage, it's one he wants to share to ensure others don't make the same mistake.
I want other people to realize that they should just wait and how dangerous it is to be out on ice this early, and when it's this thin, just not a smart idea.
In Eden Prairie, Jason Rantala, WCCO News.
Some great advice there, and luckily those 2 young men are fine. Now finally today, let's check out some new video into us here at 10 TV. First up, Christmas trees are lighting up all around the nation, and earlier this week that included our nation's capital as well. This is video showing that ceremony back on Tuesday with House Speaker Mike Johnson lighting the U.S. Capitol Christmas tree in Washington, D.C. During that celebration, the Nevada congressional delegation also participated in the ceremony as the 53-foot red fir nicknamed Silver Bell hails from Humboldt, Toyobe National Forest in Nevada. It's the first ever U.S. Capitol Christmas tree from that state. And finally, check out this video with some of the major storms across the U.S. the past week. A lot of people were expected their first big snow, and then you can add wildlife to that list. Check out this video from the Rocky Mountain Arsenal National Wildlife Refuge. Those animals look very happy. Of course, they've got a nice coat naturally in the winter weather. So that's looking pretty nice out there. The Rocky Mountains normally, of course, getting snow early and keeping it late. Our snow we had on Tuesday and maybe a skiff of snow coming up over the weekend is going to stick around for a while. We're going to stay below freezing at least through the beginning part of next week, including a 10 weather impact alert for your Friday morning. So join me today starting at 4 o'clock on 10 TV News for the latest forecast, latest models showing you how low temperatures will drop where you live and when we might catch a break. And of course, I'll have your weekend forecast too. Those details coming up. Thanks again for joining me this afternoon. Have a good one.